The development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Thursday night, and that means it's show night. It's when we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, propaganda, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, clickbait, and disinformation. You could add to the list on and on and on. It seems like these days there are so many things that we are not allowed to talk about. And the list continues to grow. As long as my arm, times 2, and continues to grow. We are, as we try and battle these algorithms and data sets that are doing their best to parse every single word we say in real time, and as an extension, every thought we think in real time, I find myself wondering, how much longer can things like this last? As you know, in the last couple days, we've been wrongly accused of being part of a political movement, which, of course, you can't say that letter, because if you do, you get fact-checked. Think about that. One single letter of the alphabet. I'm not going to say it, but it is the 17th letter of the alphabet. And if you say one single letter, the algorithms start to chirp. They start to wonder if you're dangerous. They start to wonder if the things you were about to say will incite violence. And that's what the show is about. And yes, this is happening. Go check our YouTube page. I'll get to that in a sec. But we've been fact-checked. Not even talking about a political movement in any way, shape, or form, But, yeah, go check it out. We're streaming live on YouTube. We're streaming live on Facebook. We are live on the Fringe FM. And I'd love to include you in this conversation. We've got lots of frightening things to talk about tonight. But before we do that, let's read the phone number. Part of this show, and the reason we've always done it live, is because we love to include you. It's literally what makes this show go around. Without you listening, without you calling, it's just me sitting in a corner of the room, speaking into a microphone that you may or may not be able to hear. But when it's you, it becomes us. And these things, one, educate us as we can get together and be smarter together. And two, well, I guess you get to make up your mind on that. But anyway, if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. If you want to be part of the Discord, please do. Troubledminds.org is the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. It will give you a direct invite. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. It is completely free. Anywhere in the world you have internet and you have a Apple or Android device or PC or Mac or whatever it is, you can become part of that crew. And lots of good conversation going on there 24 hours a day. There's another Discord running as well, fringe.fm/chat. If you want to join that, please go do that. Lots of smart people over there. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're talking about all of the things that we're not allowed to speak about. All of those things that the algorithms would try and malign you of saying, even though you're not saying anything about it. Go back and fact check me. I think that's the thing, right? As always, part of part of having the open phone line and part of sharing my sources and part of just being as transparent as possible is I've always wanted to be the opposite of what these lying government officials are, of what these lying technocrats are doing. And I think we're pretty good at that. I think again, one more time, 702-957-1037. Now let's get started, shall we? Now there's this thing called a psychological operation. All right, we're going to go to the Ministry of Truth to talk about this and see what exactly this is to get us started tonight. But there's a lot of things going down. A lot of things censorship-wise happening, and we've got some hot news of the day. As you know, we like to keep our news fresh and current and work them into what's actually happening out there in the world. And let's start with this. From the Ministry of Truth, this is what a psychological operation is deemed. These are operations to convey selected information and indicators to audiences to influence their emotions, motives, and objective reasoning, and ultimately the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. And that is the old school definition of what a PSYOP is, right? Psychological operations. If you're in the conspiracy crew for meaning just in those circles and you're kind of outside the off the beaten path, so to speak. You've heard of this, a PSYOP. We've all heard of Paul Benowitz and Richard Doty, like that type of PSYOP, right? Where you get government officials that have been seeding particular, dissidents or creatives or just people. Let's just say people. And so the government has been, for a very, very long time, been seeding these conversations with disinformation. Once again, to ultimately control the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. Okay, right? It's like, all right, tell us something we don't know, Mike. No problem. Hold my beer. Hold my beer. Let's see. Okay, all right. Let's see. So I got a message there. All right. So, okay. Now this is the thing. The breaking news today. All right. So we're gonna circle back and get to psychological operations as we build this narrative tonight. And trust me, there's a lot here to be concerned about. And let's start with this. Let's start with the breaking news of the day. And this is from Twitter and Disclosed TV, which is a fantastic Twitter source if you guys don't know who they are. And they report this. This is today. Just in, Twitter has locked down the accounts of James O'Keefe and Project Veritas for reporting on Facebook VP Guy Rosen and his statements that Facebook freezes comments in place that algorithms think there may be hate speech. Hate speech. Right? Anybody know the definition of hate speech? Well, it seems like it doesn't even matter what it means anymore because it just matters what the technocrats believe it means. So let's play a couple clips from Project Veritas and what actually started all this and made them turn into whatever happened today, whatever this banning of these accounts on Twitter. And again, now remember, I always say this, and this is true. The establishment moves to protect itself. And you see Twitter moving to protect Facebook. Not even the same companies, right? Not even different CEOs, different entire technology, different. And yet, Project Veritas moves in, exposes some things that Mark Zuckerberg said and some of his employees that are damning, really. And instead of Facebook cracking down, which I'm sure they probably did, or if they haven't, they're in process, Twitter steps in and removes the accounts of James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. Now, where did this come from? Let's play a couple clips from Project Veritas, straight from their website, because, of course, you can't get it on Twitter anymore. So let's play this. This is how this started, and this is where these censorship applications are happening. I'm calling this the digital doom. Veritas, Part 1, action.
In his first day, President Biden already issued a number of executive orders on areas that we as a company really care quite deeply about.
But there has been quite a lot of disquiet expressed by many leaders around the world, from the President of Mexico to Alexander Navalny in Russia, and Chancellor Angela Merkel, and others saying, well, this shows that private companies have got too much power and they should be only making these decisions in a way that is framed by democratically agreed rules. We agree with that. We agree with that. Mark has been very clear about that ideally we wouldn't be taking these decisions on our own. We would be taking these decisions in line with and in conformity with democratically agreed rules and principles. And at the moment, those democratically agreed rules don't exist. We still have to take decisions in real time.
We have a system that is able to freeze commenting on threads in cases where our systems are detecting that there may be a thread that has hate speech or violence sort of in the comments. These are all things we've built over the past 3-4 years as part of our investments into the integrity space or efforts to protect elections.
I wonder whether or not we can use Oculus to help a white police officer understand what it feels like to be a young black man who's stopped and searched and arrested by the police. And I want every major decision to run through a civil rights lens.
I think that these were all important and positive steps. And I am looking forward to opportunities where Facebook is going to be able to work together with this new administration on some of their top priorities, starting with the COVID response.
Interesting, no? I think it's quite interesting that, so those were all Facebook employees. That was a kind of a montage put together by Project Veritas. And every individual you heard speaking in that clip was a Facebook employee, all right? And so you notice how they've moved to shore up this administration, right? Meaning the Biden administration, Team Blue. I think it's very clear where the media stands. I think it's very clear where the technocrats stand. And again, as they've cracked down on the 17th letter of the alphabet, by the way, and other movements that may be detrimental to them as they see it, well, it continues to spread. This is like a mind virus set out by algorithmic control. And if this is not a psychological operation, I'm not sure what is. They put the information out or we put the information out, let's say. For example, let's say this show. And what do? They move to fact check it. They move to call it one thing when it is not. It is another thing entirely. But they can't win an honest debate. They can't actually defend the actions they've taken. And so what do? They lie. They claim things that are not true, especially about this show. Go back and check years on record and find out how often I've talked about this 17th letter of the alphabet movement. Think about how ridiculous this is. I cannot even say, even to criticize this movement, a particular letter of the alphabet. What's next? This is newspeak, you realize. Straight out of 1984. George Orwell would be mortified. And yet, this is the world we live in. Hate speech, they say. Like I said, what is the definition of hate speech? I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Let's play one more clip of Project Veritas, who today was removed from Twitter, and they were removed for exposing what these technocratic operations have said. What they actually said. Yeah, here we go. Part 2, Project Veritas exposing Facebook employees. Action.
The VP of Integrity at Facebook. When you talk about freezing comments containing hate speech, what do you mean by that?
We have a system that is able to freeze commenting on threads in cases where our systems are detecting that there may be a thread that has hate speech or violence sort of in the comments.
How do you define hate speech? Is it just speech that you hate? Are you freezing your own comments now? The VP of Integrity at Facebook. Showing how much integrity he has.
If you're interested in that, go to, I think it's projectveritas.com. Actually, I'll pull up the page and I'll give you the exact. It's very sloppy of me to not know. One moment, please. Yeah, so it is projectveritas.com, and this is what we're looking at. If you guys are watching this stream, I'll put it up on the screen here, and you guys can check it out. And I'll link it. And okay, so but this is what's going on. This is exactly what's happening, right? So what they determine is hate speech is now being frozen in real time in the chat. Now, not only am I not surprised by this, we have seen this happen in our live streams for a very long time now, where people put in comments and for whatever reason, the algorithm flags it and it doesn't even show up in the chat. I've had people send me screenshots of chat they sent into Facebook that was kicked back out as not even being sent. They've got proof on their phone they sent it. Send me the screenshot. It never appeared in the chat for even me to see as the streamer of the show. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. This does not surprise me a single bit. This video clip in particular, if you guys go to this website, I'm going to link it. You guys can check it out, Project Veritas. And we're not going to talk about Veritas the whole show, just so you guys know. I know this particular organization is very polarizing, and some people are very pissed off at them. I get it, but censorship is censorship, and like we always say, when you're talking about the truth and what the truth actually means, that for them to censor the truth. And on the things they've actually said, and not, for instance, censor me on things I did not say. What a giant batch of hypocrisy. At best. At best. At worst. This is Orwell's 1984. Terrifying. And this is how they run. This is how they roll. Here we go. Going to link these things in chat so you guys can check it out. As always, I appreciate you guys double checking my sources. I always try and be as open as possible where I got the information that I'm presenting, because I want you to know. And don't ever, and I mean this ever, take for granted what I tell you. I'm human too. I can be fooled by propaganda, and I encourage you to go fact check everything I say. on your own. Not go to Snopes or not go to any of these other places. You go and find the source yourself. And if my source is not good enough, dig a little deeper. This is the way the world works now. And I know it always has, but we have governments bombing the news cycle with disinformation so that you can't find the actual source. And is that or is that not terrifying? I've got some proof of that, and we're going to talk about that as we go tonight. But I want to hear from you. As always, this show is live because without you, it's just me. But us together, we can make a difference. What do you think about this censorship? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, the official website. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. And what in the world is going on with this? Yeah, it's okay, right? They came to take Alex Jones out. Nobody backed him up. People laughed and pointed. Look at the conspiracy theorist. Ha ha, take him down. And what that turned out to be was a beta test, an alpha test even, of what they could get away with, how far they could push this censorship, and where to begin. Yeah, just like they said in the clips there, they've been working on these things for years. And now, here comes the rollout. One more time, love to hear from you, 702-957-1037. And I just don't know what else to say here. There's a lot of information out there that's just absolutely mortifying when you get down to brass tacks and what's really happening. And there's these silly arguments that people say, oh, well, they're private companies. They're allowed to do what they want. Sure, fine. But what happens when they've trimmed out every single dissenting voice from all of these platforms? What happens then? I'd like to know. They have their nice little perfect echo chambers. Everybody's singing in the same key. And it's beautiful, is it not? Except for the discord that is happening outside of those echo chambers. And yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. We got more. We're going to be talking about psychological operations, talking about Project Veritas banned from Twitter today, and what is really happening here. I just don't even know what to say anymore. It just it continues. The beat goes on, and we are victims. We are victims of this algorithmic manipulation that Clyde Lewis would say is part of their plan of full spectrum control. And I don't think he's wrong. 702-957-1037. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. If you want to be part of the show, we're talking about psychological operations. We're talking about information warfare. We're talking about censorship. And what does that mean for me? And what does that mean for you? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Hang tight. More after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about psychological operations tonight. We're talking about censorship. We're talking about big tech. And of course, we're talking about how all of this may affect you. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call, 702-957-1037. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org is the official website, and you can click the Discord link and come join us over there. Watching all the chat, we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, multitasking here, broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. So, psychological operations, I say. Indeed, I do. So not only was Project Veritas thrown off of Twitter today, as always, they've been trying to label us as a part of a political movement that we are not whatsoever. And this is exactly what's happening. There are reports of lefties being thrown off, being demonetized. The far left, the progressive movement, being demonetized on Facebook now. On YouTube now. And it's not going to end. This is not going to end. Like I've always said, if you think you're safe because you're on the right side, the quote, correct side of the political spectrum, you're lying to yourself, because once they've muted a sufficient number of the other guys, guess who they're going to look at? Like I always say, yeah, that's right, you. In the crosshairs, you. Little old you. All right, so as they continue to do this, let's see. There's some more here. Let's take a look at this stuff. So this is from Project Veritas, and this is what they had to say. Okay, so this is from MSN.com. I'm gonna link this here, and you guys can check it out. As always, I appreciate if you vet my sources, and if it's fake, fine, it's fake. Like I always say, I am fallible as well. So here's my sources. This is from MSN.com. Twitter permanently suspends Project Veritas, like we were talking about before the break here. And here's what it says. A Twitter spokesperson confirmed to The Hill that the main Project Veritas account was permanently suspended, while founder James O'Keefe had his account temporarily locked. Several recent tweets on O'Keefe's timeline appeared to have been deleted by Thursday afternoon. Twitter did not immediately return a request for comment regarding private information shared by Veritas and O'Keefe. Private information, right? Private information. Interesting. Founded in 2010, Project Veritas is a right-wing group that routinely published undercover sting videos, some of which have been accused of deceptive editing. Oh. So what? They're not allowed to deceptively edit in this information war? But everybody else is? Have you turned on CNN recently? Have you turned on Fox News recently? All they do is deceptive editing. That's all they do. But you see, they're allowed on Twitter. They're allowed on Facebook. They're allowed on YouTube. Not only that, the algorithms push them to the top. They make sure that if you search a particular phrase, the first people you see are going to be CNN, Fox News, and that crew. Right? You know I'm right. So, Project Veritas is not allowed to deceptively edit. All right? And they're not allowed to share private information. All right? What the heck is going on here? This is, again, just a grotesque double standard. Like I said, I know Veritas, they do some scummy things, but you think that the world at large isn't full of the media doing scummy things? Of course they are. Of course they are. So here's the claim. So that's the claim that Twitter has permanently suspended the account belonging to Project Veritas. And let's see, it is because they deceptively editing videos, according to this MSN news report, and also for publishing private information, which was that Zuckerberg clip that I played just as we started the show tonight in the first segment there. So, hold on one second, and Project Veritas actually responded. And this is from the Epic Times. I'm going to link this, and always you guys can check out to see what I'm talking about. And censorship. Here we are again, right? Here we are again. Let's see, go over, link it to Facebook. Make sure everybody gets the same information. Like I said, juggling a lot of things here with all the different chats. There we go. There we go. And like I said, Veritas is a right-wing thing, right? They're part of that establishment, and it's okay, right? Because, of course, in a propaganda war, both sides should be allowed to exist, right? I think they should. Or none of them should be allowed to exist, right? Which, of course, is where we're probably headed. But here we go. This is from the Epoch Times. Undercover journalism nonprofit Project Veritas says Twitter's reason for suspending its account is false. Twitter suspended the accounts of Veritas and its founder James O'Keefe around February 11th after the right-leaning group posted a video of one of its reporters asking Facebook's Vice President of Integrity, Guy Rosen, for a comment in front of his residence. And just for the lulz, let's hear it again because I thought it was pretty funny. So this Veritas reporter is out there in front of his house, kind of chasing him around as he jogs in his neighborhood. The guy's got a microphone. And it's very short, 30 seconds. This is what went down.
The VP of Integrity at Facebook. When you talk about freezing comments containing hate speech, what do you mean by that?
We have a system that is able to freeze commenting on threads in cases where systems are detecting that there may be a thread that has hate speech or violence sort of in the comments.
How do you define hate speech? Is it just speech that you hate? Are you freezing your own comments now? The VP of Integrity at Facebook. Showing how much integrity he has.
There you go. All right. So there's the clip. All right. So again, so they suspended him for after the. So, okay, and this is a good point, actually. Margin Chat says, serious question, what makes you say he's right-wing? I think the thing is because in many cases he goes after the left, okay? So does that make him right-wing? I don't know. It makes him a journalist, right? Like that's what they should be doing. So I don't know. So you may be correct there that I don't like labels because, of course, labels leads to unpersoning people, and then it leads to what does Yoda say? What's that quote from Yoda? Right. It leads to once you start labeling people as such, then you can attack them as such and not as people anymore. So anyway, you were correct. You were correct. So label them as you see fit. But I do notice, and it's important to note that they put in these articles themselves, they have to note that they're quote right wing or quote far right or right. You see, like I say right. I mean correct. So you see what's happening. They correctly they are putting this information in these articles to make you hate them, right? So if you dislike the quote right, then they put it in there just to make sure that they've perfectly subdivided the demographic already in the first paragraph of this. So that's a good point. That is a good point. Okay, so the account was permanently suspended, and here we go. So here's how they responded. The account Project Veritas was permanently suspended by repeated violations of Twitter's private information policy. Twitter spokesperson told the Epoch Times via email, the account James O'Keefe III was temporarily locked for violating our private information policy. The account owner is required to delete the violative tweet to regain access to their account. And here we go. So let's see. We already saw that. Okay. When asked by O'Keefe what he meant by freezing comments containing hate speech, Rosen turns around, doesn't respond, and walks on toward his home. And that's what was in the video. If you guys go to the Project Veritas website, you can see that video. We played the audio clip there. Okay. So let's see. Where do they refute this? So in Veritas's video response to the suspension, the street numbers are already blurred. So they're saying that they're doxing his house, right? Is that what they're saying? They're giving private information for this guy. That's what's happening. So here we go. Quote, this is nothing new from Twitter. Just last fall, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey admitted in Congress his company's decision to block the New York Post was erroneous, while still demanding the Post kneel before them by deleting the tweet, O'Keefe said in the release. Here we go again. Twitter opting to delete news and demand fealty when their decision is dared to be questioned. And there you go. There's the response. There's the drama of the day. That's what's happening right now in the news. Project Veritas suspended from Twitter. And again, like I said, this is one thing. This is one single thing. All right. But this is one single thing in an avalanche of things. And so, like I said, where you may or may not care about Project Veritas in particular, or you may or may not have cared about Alex Jones in particular, you see where this is heading. It almost doesn't matter what you care about anymore because they're going to trim it down perfectly and neatly to be their view of a corporate left and right, trimmed right around the center, backing up Wall Street, bailing them out, right? The banks, all of it, okay? But of course, once you do that and you've trimmed out all the dissenting opinions, like I said, then what? Do you think people are going to be satisfied after all this access to the internet for most of our lives? Some of us, all of our lives. Do you think people are going to be satisfied with an ABC, CBS, NBC trifecta version of the news and that's it? No, heck no. Heck no. Double heck no. This is not happening. This is not happening. People are going to be upset by this, and rightly so. All right, so that's enough on Veritas. We're not going to talk about them for the rest of the night. But here's the thing. I want to know what you think about this. 702-957-1037. One more time. That's 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org is the official website. Click the Discord link. The phone number's up there. One-stop shop to find all of the things. And you can come talk to us tonight on the show. And I want to know what you think. Do you care that it's Veritas? What about Alex Jones first? What if you didn't care for Alex Jones? That's cool, right? What if you didn't care for Veritas? That's cool, right? Well, guess who's next? I know a guy. His name's Michael Strange. He does this show called Troubled Minds. And they are fact-checking his YouTube videos with a political movement that he has all but denounced in the past. Yeah. I know a guy. So when does it end? When does it end? They're already setting this up. This is on the way. But I want to hear from you. Should I be concerned? As concerned as I am? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. All right, so let's get back to information operations. Now, here's the crazy part with all of this. I see you, chat. We'll get to you, chat. Don't worry. I'm not ignoring you. We'll get to you. Just trying to tell a good story here. And we'll get to you as we hit the break. So this is the thing. So, how concerned should we be? Am I overreacting? And how do you think this affects you? Do you think eventually they're going to start censoring your or let's say just censoring innocuous things? People sharing social interactions. Maybe. And who are they working with? I think that's the question here for the night. Back to that psychological operations. The name is changed, by the way. It is no longer known as a psychological operation. They've changed the name to information operation. All right? And there's this thing in the United Kingdom called the 77th Brigade. Anybody heard of this? Shout out to Penny Bunny out there for pointing this out to me. Psychological operation. We're going to go here to army.mod.uk and check this out. Look what is happening in different parts of the world as they crack down on speech and work together against who? Against the enemies, right? This is always against the enemies, is it not? It's always against the enemies. But at what point do you become the enemy? All right, so this is the army.mod.uk, and this is the 77th Brigade. And what they do is exactly these information operations. Who are we? Right from their website. The 77th Brigade is an agent of change. Through targeted information activity and outreach, we contribute to the success of military objectives in support of commanders, whilst reducing the cost in casualties and resources. Our outputs are a fundamental part of the Army's integrated action model. Aside from the delivery and support of information activities and outreach, we have a role in planning and advising across the Army and wider defense. So what does that say? interesting that you can go to these government websites and right there on the damn website in front of your face, they're telling you what they're doing. But there's more. This is just straight from the official source. Some of the ways they can help: conducting timely and appropriate audience, actor, and adversary analysis, planning and integrating information activity and outreach, supporting and delivering IA&O, which is information activity and outreach, within pre-designated boundaries, supporting counter-adversarial information activity. Yeah, right. So at what point are you the adversary is my question here. Let's play a couple clips regarding this 77th Brigade. Brigade 77, as they're known in the United Kingdom. And this is not just one place. This is the world over. Part 1, action.
It's been revealed that Twitter's Middle East editor is also an officer in the British Army's Psychological Warfare Unit. RT's Issa Ali reports.
There have for years been questions as to who shapes the editorial policies of Twitter. Well, when it comes to the social media giant's operations in the Middle East, it turns out the British Army has quite the hand in it. Middle East Eye has discovered that Twitter's head of editorial, specializing on the Middle Eastern region, also moonlights for the UK Army. Former journalist Gordon Macmillan has openly shared this information on his LinkedIn page, and the 77th Brigade Macmillan serves in is no ordinary unit. Created back in 2015, it conducts non-lethal warfare. With a proud slogan, influence and outreach, these warriors fight their battles on the front lines of social media, seeking to change and influence behavior.
Our aim is to challenge the difficulties of modern warfare using non-lethal engagement and legitimate non-military levers as a means to adapt behaviors of the opposing forces and adversaries.
It's no wonder the Middle East has become a priority for the British Army, with its forces having played quite a role destabilizing the region in the past decade.
Oh, zing. Okay, so now again, full disclosure, again, this is from RT. All right, so RT has, this is Russia Today. All right, so of course they have a vested interest in crapping on the United Kingdom. All right, just saying. But it doesn't make the things they're saying not true. All right, you can go to some of these websites. We're gonna look at some of this other stuff regarding the 77th Brigade and some of the information operations they've been pulling on the world. And not only that, their own people in league with NATO and the European Union, the Five Eyes of the Western, what would you call it? The Western intelligence. Yeah. So the disturbing part of all of this to me is, one more time, who exactly is the adversary here? There seems to be many of them. And at what point does that adversary become you? 77th Brigade from RT, Part 2.
So, Brigade 77 has certainly got plenty to get its teeth into. General Nick Carter, the head of the UK Army, was full of high hopes for his social soldiers in a speech he delivered last year.
In our 77th Brigade, which I shall come back to, we've got some remarkable talent when it comes to social media, production design, and indeed Arabic poetry.
And at least one of them seems to have lived up to the potential. Since Gordon Macmillan joined Twitter in 2013, the social media giant has suspended Iranian press agencies and banned thousands of Middle Eastern accounts. Although Macmillan was proven to be working on two different fronts simultaneously, Twitter doesn't seem all that bothered.
We actively encourage all our employees to pursue external interests in line with our commitment to healthy corporate social responsibility, and we will continue to do so.
So while Twitter wants to maintain how independent and unbiased it is, its policy of encouraging staff to pursue outside interests is coming back to haunt it.
There's been a UK government propaganda operation which has attempted to create clusters to draw in journalists and academics in order to essentially promote particular agendas in relation particularly to international affairs. And this kind of manipulation of the information environment is profoundly undemocratic and ultimately profoundly dangerous. If you allow governments to start to shape what people think and understand about what's going on in the world in the way that appears to be going on through Brigade 77 and propaganda operations we see in the UK, then the ability of the public to maintain any kind of check or balance or control over their governments is severely limited.
We asked the British Army's spokesperson for comment, and he told RT there was no relationship between the 77th Brigade and Twitter other than using it as a social media platform.
Oh, right, of course, because, well, if it's a secret operation, are they going to tell you that? Of course not. The very first rule of all this is you deny it, right? You deny it. And so, am I surprised? No. But see what's happening here. Clearly, this individual works for the United Kingdom Armed Forces and has these ties to Twitter. The 77th Brigade, Information Operations, which used to be known, by the way, as Psychological Operations. The name has changed. And yeah, it continues. Example after example after example. I've got more. I've got more. You look into this just a little bit and you start to become terrified because you realize everybody is doing it. Everybody is trying to change your mind about the things you believe about your life. Terrifying? Standard? Imagine 50 years from now, when we have a brand new generation that knows nothing else but these ridiculous data dump, misinformation, psychological operations, or information operations, as the name has changed. Ridiculous, right? Unbelievable how they are shaping the future of humanity and how we think. And not only are these technocrats doing it, they're working hand in hand with these government agencies. So when I think about this, I want to know who's on our side. Is there anybody out there that gives a damn about us? Yeah, that's what I want to know. I don't have those answers. This is not the Answers Show. But I do have more questions. You want to be part of the conversation tonight? 702-957-1037. One more time. 702-957-1037. We're talking about PSYOPs, information ops, social media, and how it all fits together. And how they're after the gray matter between your ears. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Hang tight. We will be right back with more information operations and some things you will not believe. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're talking about information operations tonight, the old school PSYOP, and what that means in a digital world. Project Veritas banned from Twitter today. Who's next? First it was Alex Jones, then it was Project Veritas. Dare I say Troubled Minds is next? I do not know. But I know enough to be concerned. And I think you should be as well. You want to be part of the conversation tonight? 702-957-1037. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. And there's more. There's more of this. The Five Eyes of the Western intelligence world. The technocrats working together to shake out the enemy. But who's the enemy? I want to know. I want to know. All right, let's continue. Like I said, 702. We'd love to hear from you guys tonight. 702-957-1037 if you want to be part of the show. This is a censorship on steroids, and this is where we're headed. Again, not that I really care in particular for Alex Jones, for one, or Project Veritas, but I think that they should be backed up. I think that people should stand up for this, because eventually, just like I said with Alex Jones, the canary in the coal mine situation, it was a beta test. They realized what they can get away with, and now they're going to go one by one. It's going to be the Corbett report. It's going to be all of these folks that have a reach, all of these folks that have an audience, and all of these folks that have something to say. And of course, like every individual, right? We are who we are. We are many times wrong, but we are also many times correct. And that's part of this conversation, and why this continues, and why this should continue forever. Because when the government steps in and tries to tell you not to, or let's say because the government can't, because that would be a civil rights violation, so to speak, they lean on the technocrats to do it, right? Yeah. Tons of this. It goes on. Let me play a little bit of this. Now, this is nuts. This is from an organization known as, let me pull this up. I'll pull the so we were talking about the 77th Brigade, right? And how they have cyber information warfare going on, okay? I'm going to share a couple more links from them just so you guys can see that I'm actually let's actually round that out. Let's go to this 21st Century Wire, and then we'll move on to this next part. Now, this is Brigade 77, or 77 Brigade if you're from the United Kingdom, our friends in the UK. And this is exactly what's happening in the world, guys. I'm posting this up and you guys can see. And we'll read from this website right here. This is 21stcenturywire.com, 21stcenturywire.com. Now, the headline is this, and this is April 29th, 2020, less than a year ago. The headline is 77 Brigade is British military waging an information war on its own population. Right? Right? And yeah. Here we go. Last Wednesday, during the daily UK government coronavirus live stream, the head of the British Army, General Sir Nick Carter, bragged, quote, "We've been involved with the Cabinet Office Rapid Response Unit, with our 77th Brigade, helping to quash rumors from misinformation, but also to counter disinformation. Between 3,000 and 4,000 of our people have been involved, with around 20,000 available the whole time at high readiness." 20,000 available at high readiness. Now, what does that mean? You know how conspiracy theorists like to say things like this? Well, that just hit the news cycle because they wanted to distract you from this other thing. You know how that's said quite often, right? And you can't ever really be sure that's the case because you just don't know. Sometimes the news cycle does its own thing, sometimes it does not. But if they're paying close attention and something surfaces and they don't want the general public to be, let's say, concerned about it, they have 20,000 available the whole time at high readiness. Yeah. 77 Brigade from the United Kingdom, part of the Five Eyes. That would, of course, would be Canada, United States, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. The Five Eyes of Western intelligence. And of course, working hand in hand with NATO and the European Union. Now, I'm saying these things, right? And you're like, okay, Mike, I see the connection you're making. Maybe. No. Positively. They have told us they're doing it right here. Hold on. This continues. 21st Century Wire. To understand the implications of this statement, we have to go back to 2018, when Carter gave his speech to the Royal United Services Institute. Quote, "In our 77th Brigade," he said, "we have got some remarkable talent when it comes to social media, production design, and indeed Arabic poetry," like he said in that clip previously. "Those sorts of skills we can't afford to retain in the regular component, but they are the means of us delivering capability in much more imaginative ways than we might have been able to do in the past. And what the hell does that mean? Right? Social media, production design, Arabic poetry. Who's manipulating who? Right? Hang tight, there's more. Previously known as the Security Assistance Group, the 77th Brigade was stood up in 2015 as part of Army 2020, right? A UK initiative. The Security Assistance Group has been established following the amalgamation of the Media Operations Group, 15 Psychological Operations Group, Security Capacity Building Team, and Military Stabilization and Support Group. 77th Brigade is described on their website as being about information and outreach, which we talked about. We read right from their website. All right, you see. These are the things they're saying, and they're bragging about it. They're basically saying, hey, look, we're doing this. We're controlling the news cycles. We want you to believe what we want you to believe. And if you think for yourself, we're going to label you. We're going to subdivide you to hate your neighbor and call them the N-word, which, of course, would be Germans from the 1930s and 40s. All right? Because, of course, you can't say these things anymore because you get flagged. You get put in a bucket of, I don't know, what would be the word? Let's revisit this. Deplorables, let's say. And when you are, you wear that scarlet letter forever. You know when they say? In conspiracy circles? I've been put on a list. Right? What do you think that means? I don't know. Let's call it the 17th letter of the alphabet that they keep fact-checking all of my shows with, even though I barely even talk about that stuff, and only in the censorship variety. I've never backed up that movement. It doesn't matter, does it? It does not. There's more. There is more. Hold on. There's more. As always, there's more, but I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this? Is this horrifying? Is this, again, like I said, nothing new, Michael Strange, big whoop. We know we're screwed. Well, if that's your mindset, I refuse to comply. Peacefully. You have to specify. I will not comply. Speech is more important. The freedom of information back and forth between citizens and people of the world is more important. Catch me if you can. There's more. There is more. Let's see. Penelope says, if you're out in LA, can you listen on terrestrial radio on AM? To this, I'm not so sure. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Hopefully we'll get there at some point, but I don't believe so. You have to go to the Fringe FM website. But okay, all right. Let us continue on this, and there's more. Now listen to this. This is crazy. This is from, like I'm trying to make the worldwide connection here. This is from stratcomcoe.org. I'm going to share the link. And yeah, that's right. The United Kingdom, the Five Eyes of Western Intelligence, NATO, and Stratcom COE, the let's see, what is this? Here we go. Let me go to about this. I'm going to share this in a sec, and I'm going to play some clips from these guys. And this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. You'll see the scope of what's actually happening here. And like I said, keep in mind, in that 77th Brigade in the United Kingdom, they have 20,000 people on standby in case of a particular information emergency. Think about that. What the hell does that mean? I'm going to play some clips from them in a sec. Let me share this thing. Actually, I'm going to start this, and you'll hear exactly what an individual from this organization, I'll explain this organization in just a sec. We need to start telling this story. We won't get through it tonight. Part one, this is information operations and what they are and how they are used. Action.
Before, I was asked to actually explain what information operations and information warfare is before we get started. So information operations could be seen as a communications campaign if you're in the private sector, if you're doing marketing. Information warfare is basically, it could be a competition between bots that are online, between one party and then the other. Both could be state actors. both could be non-state actors. Typically, information warfare is seen as a part of the kinetic warfare, and if you're doing a lot of stuff against Russia, it's a part of the hybrid warfare with the non-linear warfare that the Russian foreign minister really likes to talk about. Cool. So information warfare basically exploits cognitive insecurity, right? So we all know what physical security is. It's protecting ourselves physically. Cognitive security is how do you actually protect our minds? So cognitive insecurity is basically when there are flaws in our own cognitive security. So it typically exists due to carelessness, just not even caring. Could be also that someone's naive, they're innocent. It could be that they have a target identity weakness, which basically means that they're so loyal to one identity that they become blind to the flaws. And so you see this a lot with ISIS, with Al-Qaeda groups. And then there's also groupthink. On average, when we're in a group together like this, your IQ drops by about 20 points than if you were by yourself. And so if everyone around you, if 40% of people around you will nod yes to an answer that you know is actually wrong, most likely you're either not going to speak or you're also going to go yes, because everyone around you is doing the same thing, right? And then there are also biological neuroscience. I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to talk about it, there are specific hormones that are at work that are created when a consensus where an echo chamber actually occurs. And then there are also the psychological or the emotional imbalance.
Okay, you see this? Now, this is an information operations professional that has actually worked on the ground with agents, operatives, to change people's minds. Not only that, she's explaining exactly how they do it, exactly how they think about these things, and she's got some very interesting examples. Remember when I said the 77th Brigade has 20,000 people on standby in case of some sort of information emergency? Information emergency. Think about that. That's absurd. Just that it tells you the way war is being fought in the 21st century is in your brain. Alex Jones has been right all along regarding the name InfoWars. Because this is a military thing. This is this is a tragedy when the enemy becomes your own people. It's a tragedy. Notice she said ISIS, Al-Qaeda. What about that 17th letter? What about that movement? What about if you voted for the wrong guy? You see what's happening here? All you have to do is look to the media, and they're trying to tell you exactly where they want us to head. Exactly. But I don't know. You get some guys that just don't believe this is true. Some people out there that just reject it entirely and still believe what a politician says. As 6 months later, they completely change to something else. like complete opposite, right? It's unbelievable. This whole thing is just unbelievable to me that people still are not awake to this and just buy what the news is telling you. It's creepy. It's disconcerting, and it's horrifying. What's Up L says it is brainwashing. It's information warfare, as in a spiritual war, good against evil. And I can't really say I object to that. What the heck is going on? So, okay, back to this real fast. This link where this individual is talking about these information operations, right? Now, this is from stratcomcoe.org, and this is the NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence. And they have about strategic communications, right? It used to be like strategic ordnance or, right, things like this. But now it's strategic communications. Link in this, and you guys can check it out. As always, I appreciate if you go double check my sources. I'm only human after all. I only try and make the best show I can with the information I've provided, and the information I have may be incomplete or even erroneous. So please, don't ever take my word for fact. Just saying. So that's what we're talking about tonight. The NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence, and here's their Strategic Communications Department. So today's information environment characterized by a 24/7 news cycle, the rise of social networking sites, and the interconnectedness of audiences in and beyond NATO nations' territory directly affects how NATO nations are perceived by key audiences. That perception is always relevant to and can have a direct effect on the success of NATO operations and policies. NATO must use various channels, including the traditional media, internet-based media, and public engagement to build awareness, understanding, and support for its decisions and operations. This requires a coherent institutional approach, coordination of effort with NATO nations and between all relevant actors, and consistency with agreed NATO policies, procedures, and principles. Right? You see what's going on here. They are admitting this. If you know where to look, there are websites where they exactly describe these things they are using. And not only that, moreover, they're out there doing conferences, bragging about it. Here's part 2.
When it comes to comms campaigns, that's basically an information operation. There are really 3 stages, right? One is you're basically tracking and monitoring the adversarial propaganda and their IO campaign. So you're looking at who they're targeting, how they're targeting them, and the results. The second is you want to plan your own counter IO campaign or your own offensive IO campaign. Basically, you look at the same thing, the who, the what, the how, right? And then the third is you want to monitor the effectiveness. And the entire time you should be monitoring the effectiveness, and we're going to come back to this later. And so to give you a good example of the IO, the reason why I asked about Harry Potter is because so this is Lord Voldemort, by the way. This is when he was a kid, and that's when he actually becomes Lord Voldemort. So I want to actually read you an IO campaign. Okay, so we all know in the original story that Harry Potter is the good guy. I'm going to read you this version. So Harry Potter was mistreated and physically and psychologically abused as an orphan. His parents were killed, and he never got the closure that he wanted. In school, he was further tormented and bullied by his fellow students, and even his teachers singled him out and treated him unfairly. So he began taking matters in his own hand. He began working out and taking extra classes to improve his skills. He also radicalized those closest to him. He spread his propaganda in person, and through innovative ways like the coin, he continued to do that. He also stole, lied, beat people up, and jinxed them with magic. With sufficient support, he formed a mighty militia against the Ministry of Magic. And he, the non-state actor, won.
Oh. You see. So we use this innocuous example of Harry Potter, a fictional character. You hear that? The language. Harry Potter radicalizing people in person with his own propaganda. And you hear the concern at the very end? She said, in the end, the non-state actor won. So who's terrified? And what are they terrified of? One more as we continue. This is again from, this is an individual, a propaganda expert in information operations that works for Stratcom COE, NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence in the Strategic Communications. And what that means is, what would you say? The Ministry of Truth? 1984 rears its ugly head. Part 3 as they brag about how they use information to brainwash you and to brainwash me.
Same story, right? So my background is actually in countering violent extremism, so I find this really interesting as a radicalization method. But that is an IO campaign. And I can see that some of you are nodding while some others are very skeptical of what I just said. But this is sort of the level of skepticism that you have to get over, because when you grow up with my version of the story, this is what you're going to believe. Right? And you're like, well, really? Like, how can he be the good guy? Right? And so it's really, so that's where the cognitive insecurity, it's very nebulous, and at the same time, it's very hard to single out just one indicator. And so let's just apply that I/O campaign that I just mentioned, right, to the 3 stages. I'm going to go through this very quickly. You'll get the slides later, so don't worry about reading what's up here. So the macro strategy level is always about the ultimate goals, and then the type of content, and who you're trying to influence, and how are you going to do it. Is it social media? Is it offline? Is it a hybrid of both? And then your second stage is basically the planning and the execution, right? You want your comeback. And so it's basically the same thing that you're looking for, right? So you want to know your goals, and I want to talk about the basic goals of information warfare. So the ultimate goal is to beat your adversary, right? It's pretty simple. But there are really 4 ways you can do it. You can control the content and how it spreads. So this could be censorship. There are where you could do official channels for manipulation, which is basically, we can think of RT as a good example.
Okay, right there. She said it. Censorship. You could control the things, the information that people get, and whatever may change their mind this way or the other way. You hear? In plain sight, these people are out there bragging about this. And again, right, fine. They're playing these footsie games with Russia and China and who knows who else, right? Fine. Play the footsie games. But what happens when the politics are so mangled and so disjointed that the adversary is no longer foreign state actors? And the enemy now becomes you. I'm telling you, this is not cool. I'm not okay with this. 702-957-1037. One more time, 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about information operations, old school PSYOPs, and how these supposedly friends of ours that are out there to protect us may be using it against us. Hang tight. We will be right back with more. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts tonight. We're talking about psychological operations, the old school PSYOP, and what the digital version of today is and what it means. It's called an information operation. The name has changed. As usual in the government, they change the names to throw you off the trail. But Operation Mockingbird is alive and well. One more time, that's 702-957-1037. We're on the Fringe FM, streaming live on Facebook, streaming live on YouTube. Looking to hear from you tonight. We've got some more proof this stuff is really happening. And not just really happening, that they're out there bragging about it. I think that's probably the worst part here. So this individual, we were listening to some clips of a PSYOP professional that works for the NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence. And they actually are spending time collecting data in subsets of people so they can use it against us. And of course, you would expect that from a military or something, right? You would expect that against state actors, not hostile, but let's say adversarial state actors. I think you could probably qualify it as such, right? But this is scary. This stuff is scary. Once they start changing these to use it against the populations that are paying the taxes, this is not right. This stuff should not be allowed. And this is what Congress and Parliament and, the legislators that be should be talking about. And they're not, because they don't give a damn. They want to use it against us. And look, the 17th letter of the alphabet. I have been labeled. I wear that scarlet letter, even though I never supported it. Go check on YouTube, troubledminds.org. Click the YouTube link right there on top. You'll see they're starting to tag the things I do, the content we talk about, as a political movement. Yeah, terrifying. We got a phone call. Let's go to Joe in Florida as the software loads. What's up, Joe in Florida? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well. I wish somebody else would call in. I know you've got the show on the fringe, and maybe getting a couple of calls helps out. So try to help the show out.
I appreciate it, my friend.
But first of all, let me just say, because, Sherry's on here, Tim, a lot of other people are on the Facebook side of it here. And, I'll speak for myself, but I think I'll speak for them too, possibly, that I made it a point not to, hope that you wouldn't slide into the letter that should not be named. And you really didn't. You really didn't. It was, we managed to steer clear of that for these last couple of years. I think most of us here just want to know if there's flying saucers and other things out there. But you're right. Censorship is right here in front of us, knocking at the door. And it is a scary thing. I'm really annoyed because here we are, these maybe OG conspiracy theorists looking into other things and never really rocking the boat. Maybe some people using freedom of information, trying to go through channels, talking about the same old crashes of UFOs and everything, and some other things. But here we are, technology run amok. But at the same time, I'm playing devil's advocate, maybe uneducated or foolish things being said run amok. Okay? But, let's take another example. Look at the girl from, the Mandalorian. She got fired today for comments. Now, I don't know what those comments were. I haven't seen an episode of the damn show. But she's gone, and some people go, well, you got freedom of speech, so you have to have freedom of consequences.
That's true.
I don't know how that ends.
That's
and
true.
We've said it before. I've said it on this show. There's scholars that have looked into this. Propaganda in a free society eventually will damage or eat a democracy. But if we go back in time with Thomas Paine and, common sense, that was propaganda. That was propaganda against the king to make an argument. And here we are, maybe not this group in particular, but there were other groups out there, for better or for worse. Personally, I think for worse, because I think they were misguided and really didn't have a basis on anything. And look where the rest of us are suffering and starting to suffer. I look at it like this too. In the 80s, I got spanked. And some psychiatrists, all of a sudden you can't hit your kids. I think this is like part 2 or part 3. You can't say anything anymore. My son came out today and he goes, I think on Twitch, they banned the use of the word virgin. Like you can't use the word virgin on Twitch, he was telling me.
That is true.
And some other kid words
that
he
is
was
true.
talking about.
It is true.
Hmm?
It is true. Not only that.
Is it true?
Well, okay. So there's a term called simp, SIMP.
Yeah,
so
he told me that today.
Yeah. So it means virgin, right? It's like a derogatory term for a virgin. And so yes, they have. If you say that on Twitch, you can be removed. You can be censored. You can be damned. You can be shame, or whatever the thing is. But yes, that is true. Completely true.
Well, I'm going to say my age right now. When he told me those things, like incel was the other one, I had an idea what they meant, but when I looked them up, the definitions is correct or not. It just seems to be like mainly male-based, pissed off people that can't get laid. Basically, right. I mean, I'm married and I can't get laid. You don't see me throwing a fit on the internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but,
I got you.
It just seems like, again, everybody's voice, when everybody's right, everybody's wrong. I'm not saying that we should get rid of the First Amendment. I'm not saying that maybe we should censor things. But nobody has an answer. In George Orwell, in all these books, all these predictions, nobody has an answer. I mean, do we just stumble down the scary road? And like we've said before, it could be a fate worse than death if these technocrats own the means of any communication. So, do I see a future in the country where there's states or areas or zones in the world or in the country where the internet is non-existent and people go by custom, basically like the Amish? Just pops into my head. The Amish have functioned in this country for a long, long time. And for the most part, they function, except, maybe the gene pool doesn't split that much, but they have functioned.
They function. We actually have we actually have some wooden spoons from an Amish, like a settlement or whatever they are. They sell these things, right? They hand carve these things and they sell them on the internet. I mean, you're right. You're right. So basically, you're saying the way to fight back is to be self-sufficient. Is that what you're saying here?
You know what? I think that's what most of us have been moving to. I mean, I think most of us here, me included, and I'll say it, I don't even care. I mean, I got some stockpiled stuff for food.
Be careful. Be careful.
And for if anybody puts, if anybody sits foot on my property.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
I got you.
And a shovel if I have to, dig a hole, whatever.
There you go.
So, but I'm not out there spewing it at the same time. And here's the thing I'm going to tell you. When what's his name, Obama, was president, I mean, for a long time, I was listening to Alex Jones, and I would take it with the grain of salt. Some of the stuff he said, 10% of it might be truth. A lot of it else was craziness. And I knew that. And I think some of us here would listen and realize that, because we probably are kind of middle of the road. Maybe some of us are more left, some of us are more right. Okay. But at least we have this communication and we're going to respect each other. And I'm not saying that Alex Jones was right or wrong at all, but he was the high profile man to pick on. Here's another thing. I mean, I look at Storm Area 51. Maybe that was a test. Remember when we had all that Storm Area 51? Maybe that was a test to see how would people react and how social media would react.
It was,
and how much it would garner.
Think about it. It is a PSYOP to radicalize a particular group of people to do things they would or would not have done without the radicalization.
Exactly, because they want to take them out of the picture. They want to control them.
Or exactly see how far it would go. Exactly. Joe, you're the best. We got to keep moving. I appreciate the call.
I know.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Joe
Bye-bye.
from Florida, the show can begin. I thank you for the call, man. I appreciate you a lot. All right, so there you go. There you go. Good takes from a smart man. And this is the thing, right? Just like they said in that information operation professional in the clips I'm playing, they said an individual loses 20 points of IQ when they get together in a group because they stop thinking for themselves. They just stop, right? The person next to them nods their head and raises their fist and says, yeah! And then what? Another couple do it, another 3 or 4 or 5. And then everybody's doing a bunch of dumb things, egged on by a bunch of not very smart people. That's not what this is about. This is about the power of the individual. Not mob rule, not the group getting together, throwing their fist in the air and trying to burn things down. If anybody's listened to this show for any length of time, they know I am against violence in all forms. And I think we can change things without any of that. And you have to say it. I have to resurface it from time to time, just as a defense to these algorithms that would label me as a rabble-rouser, as a demagogue, as somebody who would try and overthrow the system through violence. And I've spent every minute on this microphone saying the opposite. We can change things for the better. The individual is powerful. If we stand in the same direction and shout as individuals, we can change the world peacefully. Go back and listen. I'm on record. I don't edit anything out. 99.99% of all the things I've said are out there on the internet. Do you think there's power in that? I'm wrong, but I'm also right. I leave it to you to decide. Thank you for the call, Joe. You're the best. Let's continue with a couple more of these clips and find out what's going on with this information I can't even say it. Information operation, the info op, which used to be a PSYOP back in the day. They changed the name. Here's a professional bragging about how they use this against people. Part 4 action.
And certain content as organically or inorganically promoted, so that's a distraction, right? So one of the best cases I've ever heard is when Prince, is it Harry who's getting married to Meghan to Meghan Markle? Okay. So when that story became the news, right? Guess which story got bumped down? Theresa May and her inability to deliver Brexit, right? And the joke among this IO community was that that was a perfect distraction piece because everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're getting married. This is great. Like, she's half black. This is wonderful. Black people can be princesses, like all that stuff. And there was a rumor that within the Prime Minister's office, someone literally said, oh, thank God that news story came out because now we don't have to talk about Theresa May's unpopularity, right? And then the fourth is basically disinformation and misinformation, which all the other panels have talked about. So once you have your goal, you can now look at how to do it. Oh shit, how to do it, and then you also want to monitor the effectiveness. And so that brings us to the third is MOE and MOP, which is the lingo that I'm going to use. So when you're monitoring the evaluation, nobody really does it. Nobody really knows how. We've literally spent billions of dollars, right, doing IO campaigns, and we don't really know how effective they are. And a big part is it's really hard to measure the lack of something. But second is also, how do you make sure that something like click-through rate, where the very surface social media metrics, like engagements, likes, shares, how do they actually convert into behavioral change or a change in attitudes?
You hear that? How does CTR, click-through rate, how does engagement algorithms, how do these things actually find themselves proliferating out into actual behaviors? There are people studying every single bit of this with a monstrous data set that they get from where? Yeah, the usual suspects. Operation Mockingbird. Who do you think is working with the government? Who do you think has these gigantic data sets that they would not have access to because, something called the Fourth Amendment in the United States? Unreasonable search and seizure, a protection against that. Yeah, bragging. You hear what she said now. When that story about Meghan Markle, and what was his name? I don't know his name. I'm with her. I don't know the dude's name, the redhead kid. I don't know his name. I don't care. But that story came out, and it washed Theresa May and her inability to deliver Brexit out of the headlines. And this PSYOP professional, information operations, said the joke on the inside is that's the perfect type of distraction you would want to do to wash uncomfortable things out of the headlines. Which maybe means a team other than hers manufactured this, right? You see. As I stated in the beginning of this show, somewhere in the middle, rather, that people, quote, conspiracy theorists have said, oh, they just put that in the news as a distraction to wash these other things out of the headlines. Well, we have a professional in PSYOPs, information operations, discussing exactly that. And not only exactly that, a specific instance of when they could wipe their brow and say, oh, phew, we are glad this got wiped out of the headlines. You see what's happening, guys? This is why I watch the news as closely as I do. This is why I do a news show where we talk about nothing but the news. Because if you watch close enough, as things change in the news cycles, you start to see their uncomfortable pressure points. And you know what many times these pressure points are? Let me tell you. The government being embarrassed by stupid things, very simple things they should be able to do and they cannot because they're inadequate, they're inept, they're liars, and they're thieves. Those things get washed out of the headlines and replaced by, oh, I don't know, Meghan Markle. Oh, I don't know, impeaching a president that is no longer president. Oh, I don't know. The list goes on and on and on, and they're making fools of us. When we started this show, I always said, this show is not about truth. Truth is subjective in a post-truth world. It is a slippery fish. However, if we are autonomous individuals, then we should have the right to ask our own questions. And that's what this show is about. That's what this show is about. Us able to ask our own damn questions and expect the answers given to us on the things that are important to us. And that's what this is about. And so there are more clips from this individual. As always, I will link all of these sources, guys, and you can follow up on me. Like I said, I want you to check. Like people that know, that have been listening to this show for a long time, they know I'm not trying to pull anything over on anybody. I'm as concerned as the rest of you are about these things. And that's why I'm on this microphone talking about them as often as I am. It's not funny to me. It's not funny to use taxpayer dollars. Don't get me started on taxes, by the way. But it's not funny to use taxpayer dollars to proclaim a huge section of your population, your state population, as domestic terrorists, and to use the press to press this narrative and put it in our faces and censor us. As always, the words we say and the thoughts we think. It's not funny. And I do not take it lightly. You understand? And I, yes, have a troubled mind. Because there's so much information out there that is proof of this. Downright proof. And yet people refuse to believe that the government really has some actual agenda other than what they're telling us. Even though rhetoric is described as rhetoric when we all know it's flat out lies. It's lies. It's not rhetoric. They're BSing us. The evidence is all there. These people are out there bragging about it in conferences to each other, for crying out loud, about how they use our own information against us. And there's no conspiracy afoot, right? Conspiracy theory, that's old hat. That stuff doesn't exist. Well, it doesn't exist because they will not allow it to exist. Because it's uncomfortable. You see, this is the world we live in. And this, again, concerns me quite a lot. And that's why we do this show. That's why we talk about these things. And, etc., so on and so forth. And we will not stop. If we get banned from all the platforms, I promise you, we will be on some other broadcasting something or other to be able to say these things. Because I'm telling you what, these things are important and they need to be said. Yeah. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. I'm concerned. And that's why we do this show. That's why we talk about these things. That is why the proof is out there. The conspiracy is out of the bag. All you have to do is open your eyes. Using our own information against us. We're going to do a third hour, folks, for the folks that are on YouTube and Facebook. Here on Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop, Lighting the Void, and after that, Ryan Gable of The Secret Teachings. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. This is Michael Strange from Troubled Minds. Did you hear that scientists recently discovered radio waves coming from Proxima Centauri? Well, I cannot confirm nor deny. We are broadcasting from that neck of the woods. You are listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Oh, shit, you couldn't hear me. I was talking the whole damn time. Most of it anyway. All right, we're back. We're back. Can anyone hear me over all this noise? No, negative. All right, we're back. What's up, L? Really going to go right when we're back? It's time. The show's just starting. Well, 2/3 of the way through. But anyway, we're going another hour here, and we're talking about the same stuff. We're talking about the actual information operations. I got some more things here to talk about, some more clips to play. But as always, I'd rather hear from you. I would always rather hear from you guys. So please give me a call. 702-957-1037, and you can hop in Discord, click the thing, what does Joe Biden say? The thing, do the thing, what the thing, everybody knows the thing. 702-957-1037, troubleminds.org. Click the Discord link and get in here. What do you guys think about this? Did you know that a PSYOP has just changed names? Did you know that it's now called an information operation? And did you know there are teams on standby, 20,000 in fact, in the United Kingdom, with the 77th Brigade, waiting for a news cycle emergency to deploy the troops. You know how people call each other shills on Reddit all the time? Yeah. That's who they are. There are actual, this stuff is real. So just to go back to that real fast, in case you guys missed it, this is incredible. Now, they said that they were happy that Meghan Markle pushed Theresa May out of the headlines when Theresa May failed to deliver Brexit, right? Just as an example here, because we're talking about the 77th Brigade from the United Kingdom. So I think it's relevant to talk UK news. So check this out. Straight from this guy, British Army General Sir Nick Carter bragged this. We've been involved with the Cabinet Office Rapid Response Unit, with our 77th Brigade helping to quash rumors from misinformation, but also to counter disinformation. Between 3,000 and 4,000 of our people have been involved, with around 20,000 available the whole time at high readiness. You see? This is real. These people are literally telling us they are washing things out of our news cycle to brainwash us. And they're using this as an information type operation. With your tax money, by the way. Yeah. Taking your money and then using it to brainwash you. Fantastic, right? Unbelievably fantastic. It does make me quite annoyed, I have to admit. It annoys me. But this is the world we live in. So let's continue with a few more of these clips. This is exactly... Now, if you're just joining us, I know it's a long conversation. There's a lot here. People come and go. Now, this is from stratcomcoe.org, and this is the NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence. And they have a department called Strategic Communications. I'm going to link this if you guys didn't get to hear this, but listen to the things they say. Listen to the things they say. This is somebody that works for them. This is right on their YouTube page. This is right on their YouTube page, guys. Right on the damn YouTube page. Are you shitting me? It's right on the YouTube page. They're admitting this. And again, people out there, right? The normies. They say there's no conspiracy. I was actually in a chat last night with Penny. What's up, Penny? And there was some parliamentary thing going on, and Penny wanted people to come give it a thumbs down, right? So I did. I hopped over there, listened to some of these people spout some rubbish about some BS. And there's people in the chat saying, where's the conspiracy? I don't get it. What? What? Open your damn eyes, people. Open your damn eyes. Okay, anyway. Strategic Communications from NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence. Now, I'm going to go back just one so we can hear the Meghan Markle bit one more time. I think this is it. Is this it? Which one was it? Damn it. I think it was this one.
And so this is where I feel like the space is lacking and something that big data can actually help us tremendously with.
No, this one.
And certain content as organically or inorganically promoted, so that's a distraction, right? So one of the best cases I've ever heard is when Prince, is it Harry who's getting married to Meghan to Meghan Markle? Okay. So when that story became the news, right? Guess which story got bumped down? Theresa May and her inability to deliver Brexit, right? And the joke among this IO community was that was a perfect distraction piece because everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're getting married. This is great. Like, she's half black. This is wonderful. Black people can be princesses, like all that stuff. And there was a rumor that within the Prime Minister's office, someone literally said, oh, thank God that news story came out because now we don't have to talk about Theresa May's unpopularity, right? And then the fourth is basically disinformation and misinformation, which all the other panels have talked about. So once you have your goal, you can now look at how to do it. Oh shit, how to do it, and then you also want to monitor the effectiveness. And so that brings us to the third is MOE and MOP, which is the lingo that I'm going to use. So when you're monitoring the evaluation, nobody really does it. Nobody really knows how. We've literally spent billions of dollars, right, doing IO campaigns, and we don't really know how effective they are. And a big part is it's really hard to measure the lack of something. But second is also, how do you make sure that something like click-through rate, where the very surface social media metrics like engagements, likes, shares, how do they actually convert into behavioral change or a change in attitudes?
You see that? Again, like I said, this is unbelievable to me. It's right there on their damn YouTube page. NATO Stratcom COE. This is a seminar in March of 2018. And she's up there with the smile on her face, talking about how they use your tax money to pull information operations against you. You see? So what is it? Now, what is the actual goal here? There are multiple goals, of course, with this type of thing. But what is it? Is the goal to actually have some sort of presence and to defeat state actors? All right? The enemy, so to speak, right? Or how much of that is a cover to just dump propaganda on your own population to keep them believing the government gives a shit? You see? They're telling you. They're telling us. They're literally telling us. Okay. All right. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's more of this. I'd rather hear from you guys. 702-957-1037. I linked it. You guys can watch this whole thing. I have the whole thing right here, clipped up into little bite-sized pieces because that's the best way to do this. Right there on their YouTube page. They're telling us that they're screwing us. They're telling us this. 702-957-1037. Get in here. We'll put you on the show, and you can tell me what you think about it. And let's see what else. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Got some chat I'm reading. Okay. So we'll go to the chat in a sec here and keep on trucking. We're just going to keep on trucking. Carlos says they're not going to get pudding if they keep doing that. Yes. And the recipe is the devil does not exist. Right. That's the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. Right. Was convincing the world he did not exist. Right. Let's see. Carlos says, remember to guard your privacy. At all times, abide by our community guidelines. Please remain seated until the show comes to a complete stop. That's funny. That's funny. See, you guys are great. You guys are great. And as you guys are great, I'd love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. Going to go to the Facebook chat, and then we'll keep on trucking. There's more. There's more of this. There is more of this. Let's see. Derek says, may I ask how many people are watching on YouTube? Yes, sir. Actually, I can't tell. My thing is washed out. Anybody know? Can somebody give me a number on YouTube, please? It says 0. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else do we got? William says, people who deny conspiracy are attending seminars on PSYOPs. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Oh, my goodness gracious. Right? That's exactly right. It's awful, and it's funny, and it's, again, we live in the upside down, don't we? What's up? Peter says people can barely remember what freedom is, and I think that's by design. You wash it out of the cycle. You make people that claim to love freedom and can actually articulate it properly to educate others. You make them the enemy. It's all happening, guys. It's all happening right here in front of us, and they're telling us. And for some reason, this is still some sort of, quote, conspiracy. Conspiracy. What's up, Kelly says, research Project Echelon, peeps. ECHELO on Project Echelon. I don't know what that is. If you want to tell me, I'd love to hear it. Timothy says they've been throttling his page for years. Who? Project Echelon, you mean? I have no idea. Or me. They've definitely been throttling this page for quite some time now. And it's becoming less and less. It's because the reach is becoming less and less. Leslie says, top chat was 16, live 18. Thank you, Leslie. There you go. That's how many. That's how many are on YouTube over there. So, typically in the old days, we would do between, like, say, 40 and 60, concurrent, like solid for both. But the thing is, though, that this continues to drop. And so, again, right, as they start implementing these algorithmic controls over everything that we say. Again, right? Like, literally, what am I doing? Other than just saying, hey, guys, not you, but hey, establishment, we can do better, right? I mean, I've never advocated for violence. I've even said, don't do that. So what's so terrifying and dangerous about me? That's the question, right? And so what's so terrifying and dangerous about you? Yeah. That 17th letter. Here, Joe. Joe said, hey, I was hoping you wouldn't get into that stuff. And I didn't. Because it seemed like a PSYOP. It seemed like something very similar to radicalizing, shout out to Bailey on this one, to radicalizing fringe elements of a population. To categorize them perfectly, politically, get them on a list, and now we know what that list is for. Tell me I'm wrong. Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff. Carlos says, if the erosion is slow enough, you'll never miss the mountain. And my friend, that's the boil the frog slowly, and you are completely correct. What's up? Let's go to Jay in New York.
Mike.
How are you, my friend?
Freezing. Absolutely freezing up here. It's wicked cold.
Better you than me, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm going to hit you up for that beer one of these days here quick if it stays this cold too long.
You got it, buddy.
It's really the censorship that's going on here is I have to put forth effort to listen. I'm your friend on Facebook and everything else like that. So you would think that when you have the live stream show, it would pop right up. I have to type into the search bar to look for your page, and then I have to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole with archive pages and everything else like that to find you live.
On Facebook, right?
They try to listen to you on the Fringe. That's on Facebook.
Yeah.
YouTube is not a whole lot better.
Well, okay.
The Fringe doesn't work. I've never been able to get you on the Fringe ever, and I try. I'll put you on the iPad on Facebook, and then I'll play with the Fringe.
I'm going to make you a video.
Try to get you on that.
I'm going to make you a video, my friend, and I'm going to explain exactly what device are you using, so we can just put this to bed and do no more tech support with Michael Strange. What device are you using?
I've got an iPad. I've got 2 iPhones and a what you call it, the little Amazon Prime things that you buy for the kids.
Okay, and what do you mostly try and listen to this show on?
Well, the new show during the day, I try to listen to it on the radio, but I can never catch the first half hour of it. You get and then you're silent for 5 minutes, and then you get and then you're silent for 5 minutes. And
Jay,
like the last half hour of the show,
I can't fix your internet, brother. I can't fix that. I can help you find us, but I can't fix any of that stuff.
I'm just saying that it's all for like the last before. It was easy peasy. You click on the link on the Discord, and it was on there. You could read the chat and everything else like that. Okay. Now you have to go through a rigmarole to get you on live.
Okay, it shouldn't be that hard.
Not live is easy.
It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be that hard.
That's how they're censoring you, though.
It shouldn't be that hard.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm going to make you a video and explain to you exactly how to do it.
Is that why your YouTube is dropping? Is that why your Facebook is dropping? That's the question that I was really asking. Is that why your Facebook is dropping?
I don't think so.
They're just not putting you in there so you pop up right away?
Yeah, I think they're not. So many people have said that they don't get notifications when we go live, which doesn't surprise me because, of course, that's part of the algorithmic manipulation.
Indeed.
And so that's why you have to set your alarm and be like, hey, or you just look at the clock. I know Mike goes live at 10 p.m. your time.
I sent you a text one time, and you sent me a text back every time your show comes on, and that's when I start 5 minutes before.
Okay.
So I can get it.
There we go. There we go.
Listen to the
All right.
music at the beginning.
Okay. All right. Let's get off the tech issues. Back to the thing.
Back on subject. Thanks, Mike.
Back on subject. Did you know that they're using your money to do psychological operations against you in the news cycle? Did you know this was a thing?
Yeah, I can't believe we're allowed to talk about it still. Are we? I mean...
Yeah.
Time Magazine came out with that article, and it was like, wow, dude, you guys are like almost bragging.
They are bragging. I've got that article, by the way.
Kinda,
I was going to
sorta.
work it into this tonight. I'm linking it. Here you go. This is that article he's talking about. I've got that article. I'm linking it into the chat so everybody can see what you're talking about. This Time Magazine article where they're bragging about fortifying the election. I have to use the particular correct terms, but there you go. All right. So, yeah. All right. So we don't really need to say any more about that.
That's odd.
It's
right?
odd. I find it odd.
I don't want to do
totally
anything to get you another Q post for the night. I probably just did it right there by saying the letter.
Did you?
But
I was so good.
I just last night. I'm sorry, man. I'm always the guy I'm the guy that drops the F-bomb when you're on the air.
You're fine. You're fine.
I apologize.
You're fine.
Really do.
Back to the censorship, man. Did you hear what she was saying? Meghan Markle washed Theresa May out of the headlines, and the joke inside the PSYOP community, the information operation community, she called them IO professionals, was that you couldn't get a better news cycle where negative information was there and then it got washed out by Meghan Markle. Huh.
20,000 guys standing on by to get on their phones and Twitter and everything else like that right now to make sure that this is trending first.
Exactly. And yeah, this is the
all
world we
those
live
guys
in.
Play with their phones all day long. My brother does it. That's what he does. He's in the military. You know? That's all they do all day long, and they play with what they're allowed to play with.
They're paying these people to do this. They're part of these. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, so what else is on your mind today?
I had them in a little bunker, and they're getting shot at, and tell them, okay, you guys are allowed to look at this webpage, and this webpage. You know, they weren't allowed to play on Facebook when they were in Afghanistan. You know, I mean, it's just it's all over. It's everywhere. It's crazy, and now they're bragging about it. That's kind of messed up, man.
Definitely.
Should we be growing spuds and writing letters to you in cursive?
Yeah.
P.O. box?
Yeah. Hey, check this out.
You know?
Bailey has offered, says, tell him to ping me next time. We'll get some beers and do a Zoom. And Bailey will explain how to get onto this show. All right? How to pull it up when you want to pull it up.
It's not that I'm doing it wrong, Mike. It's that the internet is, it's got to be a scrubbing issue. I'm not doing it wrong.
Okay, all right.
If I want to watch a CNN thing or something like that, it's no problem. But yours is always. But why is yours the only one that's always buffering?
Yeah, it's just internet, man. It's just
that's
internet.
Odd to me. I mean, you know what I mean? That's odd to me.
Okay, I'm sorry to bring it back up. I didn't want to derail.
Like that.
I didn't want to derail back into tech support. Okay, so let's. What's your final thought on the show tonight? I know you caught part of it. What do you think? 20,000 people on standby, ready for a negative news cycle. How does that make you feel? That would be your tax money, and they're waiting to hide information from you in real time.
You know, what's really going on in the world. Oh, well, let's release all this information about aliens now, so people are thinking about something different, so they're not paying attention to it. And it's one of the reasons why your show is so great, because you're all over the place. Try not to miss nothing.
That's
keep it up, dude.
No editorial room telling me what to think or to say. Weird, right? So weird.
Right. You let everybody that calls in, Joe and everybody, you know, that calls into the show all the time. Ash, it was great information. I had to listen to the show this morning because of bombshells last night, but it was like, it's great information, and it's true. It's documented true. You know, you're not lying. You're not making it up. You know, we're just having a couple of beers and making sure the people that want to listen to it have the opportunity to hear it.
Amen, brother. I appreciate the compliments. Thank you.
I really worry about what you were saying earlier, that 2021, you know, we're going to be listening to you on ham radio, speaker to speaker.
Yeah, something. Bailey's got me. We'll have an alternative plan here that we're going to be able to set something up if we get taken down. Right, Bailey? Bailey's got me. We're going to set up some sort of audio streaming connection if this goes down.
Bailey did a show with you earlier today or something I saw pop up on the Discord?
No.
Is that what I saw?
No.
You did a show earlier this morning with the Curious Bunny.
Nope. Oh, no. We were just we were just kicking it. We were just kicking it in chat. We were just having fun. So yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, it was popped up in the thing.
Yeah.
But
Good. Okay.
No, really. I mean, what's going on is awesome, But what's seriously the bombshells last night? I don't want to get too far into it, but they're already coming after people.
Yeah.
People, just regular people, farmers. The bombshells yesterday they were farmers.
Yeah. Let's see what happens
coming down on
with
them.
this video. When we literally dodge that actual term the entire show, let's see what happens. Jay, I appreciate the call. You were the best, my friend.
All right. Have a good night, Mike.
Thanks a lot, man. You too. There you go. You want to be part of the show? You dial this phone number. You get on. You can talk to me about whatever you want. 702-957-1037. The topic tonight is censorship. Old school PSYOPs that have now been changed to information operations. And not only that, these IO or information operation professionals are up there bragging about how these things work and how they use them against us.
And so this is where I feel like the space is lacking and something that big data can actually help us tremendously with. Because if I were Expedia or if I were Google Advertising and my client's Expedia and they're paying me a lot of money to run their advertising, if I go in there with a click-through rate, I will literally be laughed out of the room because the private sector is a lot more rigorous with their metric. I will have to have the lifetime value over customer acquisition, right, to continue to have them as a client. But for some reason, in this military, in this defense space, we're totally fine with the click-through rate. But what does that actually mean? And so a few other things I do want to touch on this is the first is a lot of us do surveys. They're great, but they're also very forced and inorganic. And so I was de-radicalizing neo-Nazis up in the Scandinavia region. And I just remember that when we had to go and apply for funding, we would go to the people that we were working with and we would literally ask them, are you more likely or less likely to re-become a neo-Nazi, right? No one's going to be like, yes, I would like to continue to be a neo-Nazi unless they're firmly loyal to the cause, right? And so it's like, well, okay, well, how do we actually know that we did our job? We don't really know. The second is hard to read people's minds, and then there are missed trends due to our brain's limited capacity to compute data sets, right? And that's why we need big data. So big data, essentially what people are posting publicly at their volition, and which means that's more organic. You can also look at how their online behaviors have actually changed based on the way that they engage with different posts. And then the monitoring should also be done with more of a scientific methodology with A/B split tests, or if you're into stats, you can use the multi-arm bandits. And then the third is, big data allows us to look at data points at a community, city, and et cetera levels, right? Beyond just the individual levels.
Okay, so they are collecting, again, we've talked about this all the damn time. They're collecting data, and right there, this individual, I'm going to put this up on the stream one more time so you guys can see it.
It's been revealed that...
Not these guys, not those guys, this person right here. This person right here. This person is the one speaking in these clips that I'm playing. And this is right there. What is information warfare on their NATO Stratcom COE YouTube page? Uh-huh. Right? Bragging about this stuff. So remember, there's a thing called the Fourth Amendment. And for you folks in other parts of the world that don't know what that means, it's a basic fundamental human right as determined by the Bill of Rights that guarantees your privacy against unreasonable search and seizure, right? That's what it is. But somehow they just go around all of that and don't get a court order. They just dial up Facebook. Hey, Mark, I'm looking for information on this Michael Strange guy. What you got? Clearly, if it ever comes to court, they can't use that information. But do they have to? If they can just take me offline based on all the things they know about me. Is this judicial punishment? I can't say it. See, 2 beers and I'm stumbling. Extrajudicial punishment. Yeah, it ain't right. I'll tell you that. I don't know what to call it, but this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, L What's Up says it's all out there in plain sight. They're bragging about this. Look, hold on. I'm going to play just a little bit of this so you can see. So you can see the video. This is her. This is her just chilling up there on stage, bragging about censorship. Actually, let's see. We can probably time this up to where, let's see, we're going to get this part. We went about this far in. Let's go about right there. And we're probably caught up. Listen to this.
Visual levels. So I'm going to run you through an IO campaign we actually did against Jaish al-Islam. So Jaish al-Islam recently became more popular, but they're a Salafist group. They have not been branded as a terrorist group, but they do want Sharia law, and they're in Syria. They used to be the rebels that hold East Ghouta. Now they've been drastically weakened by the Assad regime. So this is Jaish al-Islam. So we decided to look at their influence first, right? Because the first stage is you got to look at your competitors. So they're competing against the Free Syrian Army, Anwar al-Sham, and then Hatash, ISIL, and then there's Jaish al-Islam. So you can tell that Jaish al-Islam, which is the purple line, they have actually steadily increased their influence because social media platforms, I know there are people from Twitter and Facebook here, they don't really know much about this group. So their stuff is so out there, right? They actually have 28 Twitter accounts in 28 different languages, and they're the official channels. And so we said, okay, we want to do an IO campaign to persuade people to not support Jaish al-Islam. So we're going to do an A-B split test. The A is going to be your controlled, right? And your B is going to be your experimental. So we create this narrative, and then we send them out. Because this was just a test, right? We wanted to make sure that we're reaching people with the influence score of around, I think, 50 to 70. Because once you get above 70 to 100, those are the tier 1, and you don't want to send them stuff unless you're positively sure that your narrative actually works.
Okay. Do you hear what's going on? Right there in plain sight, telling you, look, we didn't want this particular group of individuals to gain traction, and they were. And so we got together, we crunched the data, we saw their influence was increasing, and we decided to run an information operation campaign against them. And again, right, fine, terrorists, violence, all this, fine. Adversaries, enemies, however you want to frame this, fine. But what happens when they cross that line and you have people in your own damn Congress trying to claim you're a terrorist because you possibly voted for the wrong party? Do you think they use these information operation campaigns against the private sector, against us, the unwashed masses, the plebs? Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. That example was perfect with Meghan Markle and Theresa May. It was perfect, right? They all chuckled and had a knee slap. Man, we sure washed that out of the news cycle. How's that make you feel? And if you get your news and believe any portion of it, left or right, up or down, how does it make you feel? You have to run everything you consume digitally through a de-brainwash lens, through a super skeptical mindset, or else they control you. And that's what we're here talking about. That's what we're here doing. This is nuts, right? Out there in plain sight, admitting it, literally admitting it. And people out there still believe there's no conspiracy. There's no group of elites that are getting together to control the news cycle and brainwash people. That's absurd. Oh yeah? What do you guys think about this? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. Troubledminds.org. Love to have you on the show. I can keep talking, playing clips, but, that's less fun. It's just less fun. What's up? Timothy says on social media, they can counter that by letting off the steam. InfoWars can have that effect. And yes, I'm going to read this one more time. This is the comment of the evening from Tamron on Facebook. This whole censoring shit irritates me. Are they going to censor everything and only want happy things to be visible? What about the evil people who get away with evil things? How is the average person supposed to know about these things and help it if they don't know about it? I don't think they want you to help. Crazy, right? This is crazy. This is crazy. It's unbelievable to me that this stuff is allowed. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this. If you guys call, jump in the Discord queue. I'm going to cancel all this and we're going to talk to you. But I'm going to just play a little bit more of this because it's WTF, right? Like, what the heck is really going on here as they sit there and brag about propaganda campaigns against foreign states and different groups, different religious groups even. Sure, they may be extremist in the form where they're violent. Fine, I understand. But otherwise, if you're not drawing the line there, Meghan Markle, Theresa May is a perfect example of how they do not draw the line there, straight from her mouth. Let's see what they said about this IO information operation they are performing against this particular group.
So we did the A/B split test automatically. So this was done actually using machine learning. And then we waited. 2 weeks later, we saw this. So so the JH followers so your control group are in the red, and then your experimental are in the blue. Wait, actually, sorry, it's flipped. I apologize. So the blue is your controlled, and then your red is the experimental. And so we can see that it kind of fluctuates, right? And this is really important because, so when we first did our pilot in Bosnia, we did it at a very untimely, we had a very untimely timing, which was that it was during Eid, and then it was also the siege of Aleppo. So everyone's radicalization score went straight up. And so we decided, okay, well, we need to actually control for these real events that are happening that might actually skew the data. So this is what you saw, and at the end, you can actually see that the radical posts that people have been engaging with actually dropped. So using machine learning, we basically created something called the radical post. And so it's basically we can gather all of everyone's activity, publicly available activities, and then start to see, okay, they're actually starting to engage less with radical posts. So this is based on the number of radical posts. Then we can look at the percentage of radical posts. And you can see that there's a huge drop in the experimental. And then finally, something called the radicalization score, which we created from ML, which basically shows the likelihood that someone's online behaviors match the online behaviors of previously known violent extremists.
The radicalization score. Do you think there's one for shows like this? What do you think the radicalization score of Michael Strange is? Makes me wonder, right? So with all that big data they keep saying, all the metadata is actually what it is. How the hell do they know what my overall message is if they don't have an analyst assigned to me, parsing all the information I tell you and all the things we talk about? They have some sort of AI determining whether I'm dangerous or not, right? Go ahead, check the YouTube page. I'm not lying. They keep fact-checking us against a particular organization, which I have never given credence to, ever. What's up with that? Must be a mistake, right? It must be a total mistake. This must be just you got the wrong guy. This is a mistake. 702-957-1037. Love to hear what you guys think about all this. They're bragging in your face on YouTube, on their YouTube page. Meghan Markle washed Theresa May out of the headlines. Extrapolate that to every news cycle you've ever seen in your life. Anybody ever heard the term wag the dog? The tail wags the dog? Yeah. That's what's going on here. This is sick. This is sick. And this is what they're doing. And this is the news that we're supposed to pay attention to and react and base our life off of. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're probably better off if you ignore that shit entirely. If you don't even, you're probably better off not watching the news ever than even watching a little bit of it. Because as we know, repetition is the most basic form of brainwashing. Anybody hang out on the other show where we talk about these news cycles? Yeah, that is true. Why do you think the news cycle is the way it is? The 24-hour news cycle. 702-957-1037. Love to hear what you have to say about this and other things. There's more. There's more of this. But it's unbelievable. You dig more, you find more. You dig more, you find more. Could do 5 hours on this tonight. They're bragging. They won't stop. This will only get worse. What is the radicalization factor of Michael Strange? Guess it depends on who you ask, right? Do I seem insane to you guys? Like I've lost it? I'm off the rails. Help me. Somebody save me. No. No. I laugh at myself. But no, I'm not crazy. And I'm sorry, no matter what kind of lefty-righty garbage you throw at me, you cannot gaslight me into believing I am. Not happening. What do you guys think? Are you interested? Is this, you'd rather hear about UFOs? I know. You'd rather hear about Meghan Markle. All right, let's do it. Let's pull up some Meghan Markle photos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. What's up? Elle says, it's almost like a digital AI twin. It's here already. Thank you, Leslie. Says, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. Let's see. Bailey says, these videos are recruiting fuel. This stuff is how they get other marketing people excited to come work with them. That's why they're bragging. Sure, surely. But this stuff is actually happening. So I know you joined us a little bit late tonight, but there were actual examples from the 77th Brigade from the United Kingdom where they're working with these individuals. As you know, I ran down the line here of actual connections that go from one place to the next place to the next place. Yeah, aliens, I know. Most people just want to hear about the UFOs. We can't do the UFOs every damn night, or else we're just a crazy UFO guy. So, right here, NATO Stratcom Center of Excellence. So this is funded by NATO. So sure, they may want to get Twitter and these guys to come work with them, and they're bragging. However, this stuff is already funded by governments. This is the webpage. I just linked it. I'm going to link it again. This is what they're bragging about, and this is what's going on here. What's up? Robert says, you're probably getting lumped together with Arnon because the keyword conspiracy. You think so, though? Maybe. I really doubt that. Aren't there other conspiracies other than that one? Weird, right? Weird. But in any case, they're putting me on a list of really, I don't belong on that list at all. Timothy, what's up? The 17th letter is that clown shoes? Is that clown shoes? Clown World? Clown World, that's what that is. Bailey says the best way to find out a company's dirt is their recruiting pages. That troubled minds. And yes, I agree. You go check out what they're recruiting for and what they're doing. And yeah, Bailey says even conspiracy is being labeled into the giant that movement ball. Yeah, Clown World. Clown World. Looking to hear from you guys. Again, you know me. I like to laugh. I like to talk. Rather hear from you. 702-957-1037. Got about 10, 12, 15 minutes left. So if you're going to get on the show tonight and tell me what you think, now's the time. Now is the time. What about Tinfoil Timothy? What's up, brother? I haven't heard from you in a long time. As long as you don't say the Z word, get your ass on here. Somebody, anybody, help me. I just want to drink a little beer. Take a breath. 702-957-1037. Join the Discord. What do you think about this? Your taxpayer money funded into these organizations for them to weaponize the news cycle against you and to brainwash you and to believe all of this garbage they stuff down your throat every day. Right? Right? And then they're going to censor us. They're going to censor us. Can you believe this? We're on this list now. Like it's believable to me that, they want to come after me because I understand there's no money in the truth. They want to shut it down as fast as possible so they can continue the diversions necessary, the Meghan Markles, so to speak. But me, I don't know. I feel a little bit wronged because I haven't been nuts. I haven't been crazy. I've resisted many of those temptations. Not too far down this rabbit hole or that rabbit hole. Tried to keep one foot in the real world and talk about these things. Why do people believe this? Why do people believe that? And they put me on a list. They put me on a list. I don't know. There we go, see? You call somebody out from chat, and they call you. We're going to go to this phone call in a sec. But yeah, there you go. There you go. Lots of smart people listen to this show, and there you go. There you go. What's up, Bailey? The real world sucks. Who wants to be there, Mike? I'm sorry. We have to spend some time there. Timothy, what's up, my friend? It's been a long time. How are you, sir?
All right, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you calling. What is on your mind tonight?
Yeah, man. No problem. Hey, man, I've been more or less showing people on my Facebook friends list for years with screenshots of chat rooms and the effect that this is having on people, and people are absolutely amazed when I say take a random sampling, pick 5 chat rooms, pick 3 mainstream media, 2 alternative media, and screenshot the content once in a while and see how people react to what's going on to the show. And you will be absolutely amazed at the cult behavior. I used to warn people 4 years ago. I said, look, at the rate this is going, in 4 years, the people on the right, you won't be able to distinguish from the left. It's going to be the uniparty, and what they're doing is pitting everybody against the government, so the government has the excuse for free reign.
Because we're all terrorists.
And
at
who's
that
doing
point.
that?
We're all terrorists, right?
Corporations.
Yes, they are.
Right.
They're the ones who run the joint. Yes, they are. Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey. What's the dude from? I forget the guy's name from Google. But you're right. Who runs this joint? The corporations. Yep. Wall Street.
Exactly right. And you have to be aware of a lot of the shows. I've always respected your show because you're always striving to find the truth. When you find stuff out, you tell people. You're not afraid to say, hey, man, and eat humble pie. Most shows won't do that. I'll go on a limb here. A lot of people might not want to hear this, but I'll give you an example, and you can check this out on Facebook yourself. You can go into a watch party and bring up the last interview with Alex Jones and Bill Cooper. It's the only interview Bill Cooper ever did with Alex Jones. Now, before you play that video, when you're typing that in, you'll see another video pop up where Alex Jones, in about 6 or 7 different clips, is going off about Bill Cooper, saying he was a drunk, saying he was this, saying he was that, and all these other things. And he says, when I interviewed him on my show, he rant, he raved, he screamed, he cursed at us and all this other stuff, and it just wasn't true. When I show people that and prove to them, and they see him caught as a deer in the headlights from those early years, they go, wow, Tim, what's the deal there? And I said, listen to the song Gatekeepers and understand what a gatekeeper is. The 17th letter, and we seen the PBs, and the head of that was connected to who? What organization? Newspaper said he was a very prolific informer. Prolific.
Which one? Who am I missing?
So
can you say this name or not?
The guy Enrique from Proud Boys. You know,
I see.
Newspaper said he was a prolific FBI informer.
Now you've done it. Oh, I did see that. I did see that, actually. Yeah. So they've been infiltrated by the government, radicalized, and informed on. Yeah.
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 That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's and if people don't believe that, just go see for yourself. Okay, here's an experiment. Go to a chat room that has a bunch of people that follow the 17th letter, okay?
Do they still exist, by the way?
In there,
I thought they'd been scrubbed from the internet.
The narrative of what the 17th letter is saying, and watch those folks explode on you.
Yeah.
You will think you landed on Antifa turf.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because they've been super radicalized. Exactly. That's the point. Shout out to Bailey on that.
Yep.
Bailey's been saying that for a long time, that particular movement is a PSYOP to radicalize the right and turn them to bring the fringe element up so they can be exposed, put on a list, and then written off as terrorists. And here they are coming after me.
Now check this out.
Go ahead.
Years ago, check this out. Right after they first came out, and I realized and seen what was going on, we used to have an Info Warriors page. Me and a friend of mine named Daryl from work, and he was my editor, and me and him published an article that was like 5 pages long on the cult of the 17th letter, and we had it nailed. And it has to do with InfoWars. InfoWars has been running these commercials saying that he doesn't have, and he's been against it from the beginning. Listen, there were shows where he had the guy on all blacked out that was supposed to be Q on his show, given disinformation on his show.
Yeah.
And then later he would have the guy call in as Zach and do the same thing. And everybody witnessed it. And so literally now you're watching him retract that and run from it and say, I didn't have anything to do with it. When Dr. Jerome Corsi used to work for him, okay, and go on his show regularly, had his own show, and was decrypting the 17th letter every day on his show. And when Corsi got in trouble, of course, he used to run operations like that. Those old men came up with this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, before most of us were born.
The Bolshevik thing, right?
And, yeah, Bill Cooper warned about all the programs that would come along. And as the internet came along, he said, look, this is their playground. It's not yours. It's their playground. It's not yours. You are in the pool. You are the little tiny fish, and they're the shark. And that's where you're at. You have to understand that. And it's been like that since day one, since the day you got on any of it. Since the day you got on any of it.
Makes sense to me.
If they really want to go back to censorship started during the second election for President Obama.
Wait, it started way before that.
I was getting,
as long as people could talk, man.
Posts taken down on Facebook back then.
Yeah, of course. So I think the problem is they allowed Trump to be president on accident. That was clearly not a thing. But think about what happened, right? At the very end of that.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to happen. Clearly, it was not supposed to happen. You saw the entire media and establishment bristle for 4 freaking years, freaking out. Literally just constantly freaking out. The world is burning down. Right? And then you see just, like they get the man out, and the new administration takes over, and the guy's senile as hell, and everybody's like, oh, everything's just back to normal now. Because the deep state is happy again. They get to call the shots and get to run this joint. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
And as long as they keep everybody on an emotional roller coaster, on Monday, you're winning. On Tuesday, you're losing. On Monday, you're winning. On Tuesday, you're losing. One day, the Repubs are winning. The next day, the Democrats have got them on the ropes. And it's back and forth, back and forth. And what a lot of these bigger organizations, shows, and medias do is pick up on that. And some people get a dopamine effect off of raging against the machine, I call it, when they're in these chat rooms. And so you get these emotional highs and emotional lows. And what happens is people are very, very influential, can be influenced very, very easily when they're at their emotional lows.
Definitely.
When people are headstrong, it's very hard to convince them to do something they do not want to do.
Well, not only
as long
that,
as they got you in fear, and up and down, they get you to wear 2 masks, 3 masks, 4 masks,
5,
by
6
yourself
masks,
in the car, in the shower. They get you to do anything. Hop on one foot and say, umbeta, abu, and you'll do it.
Yeah.
If you think that that's what's got to happen to make life work. And unfortunately, that's 90% of the folks out there.
There's your control mechanism, right? Yeah. Now, not only that, you said these chat rooms, right? And these groups, the problem is with these groups, right, is that you get these people that are, power drunk, that are demagogues, that are just trying to they have all the answers. Like you said, nobody will ever admit they're wrong. Like Alex Jones won't even back off that he supported that movement, and he did. You're totally right, he did.
Yep.
And now he's trying to say he didn't.
Yep.
Dude, if you did and you failed, just admit it. Just admit it. It's not hard. Again, we're all humans. We're all wrong. But listen to what that woman said. I don't know if you caught it in that thing I was playing with, the information operation professional. She said people lose 20 IQ points when they get in a group. 20. That's substantial.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The old saying, the masses are, starts with an A. A-holes, man. A-holes. The masses are, and that is rhymes with ass, let's put it that way.
Yeah, there's so much you can't say.
That's just the truth, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
is what it is, but that's why they say don't, yell fire in a crowded movie theater, because what happens is 90% of everybody panics.
People get hurt.
Their own kids.
People get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
I agree.
And that was kind of like watching some of these people that have been on mainstream media saying they were part of the Q thing. They're just total actors, I think.
Yeah, LARP. It's a LARP.
After watching chat rooms.
Yeah.
And logging information and doing my own little experimentation. I'll tell you what I did to some of these Q folks that were making a lot of money off of it, to lying to people. Put out some of my own deep fakes just to see what would happen. And when I seen some of these pop up on some of these guys' channels trying to pass it off as their own, that's when I told my personal friends, I said, look, y'all need to get as far away from this as you can, because these people are stretching their bubble gum, and we know where this all started over at InfoWars. And now all these other people are into this, and people are making money hand over fist, and it's leading people down a path they do not want to go.
Yeah.
And, how come it is the bad guys would always show up at every rally every patriot ever had? Ask yourself that question. How come they showed up to every rally the Proud Boys in any organization has ever had in the last 4 years? There was somebody there to counter them every single time.
Tim,
to have a spectacle
Tim,
on camera.
Tim, you have to punch
Period.
a Nazi in the face, bro. You have to punch a Nazi in the face. Come on, that's why.
Yeah. You know.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
They literally. Or okay, silent weapons for quiet wars. How that works is, you feel like you've been fighting the war based on what you've seen on the emotional roller coaster. And what they do is, the people who won't watch mainstream media, that is because it's lost its integrity in their eyes, where are they going to get you at when you go to the alternative media? That's why they're called gatekeepers. That's where you have to be careful who and where you get your information from.
Amen.
And
Amen.
I have a list of people I watch that I value what they say. They're honest people. They're people of integrity. And then you have all the people out there that they don't care, and they just want to make money. And it's hard for a lot of people to understand. A lot of people in this world just aren't good people. And they're unscrupulous, and they can be narcissistic, and they don't care who they hurt, and that can hurt a lot of us, man. I tell you, I was a big fan of different people growing up on AM radio, and would listen to different people that were on shortwave, and a lot of these people were veterans, you know. All these people had a lot to do with the Cold War and stuff like that. And I had heard Bill Cooper many times and listened to his program, and then one day I had come across Alex, and over the years I've seen him get integrity and lose it, get integrity and lose it. I've seen him do things and everybody cheered, and it was great, and they were great things that he did. And then at the same time, you know, it's like, wow, why did they do that? You know, show up at a rally and he's all yelling and screaming, and everybody's like, what the hell happened to him? You know, is he drunk? What the hell's going on? And it's like, why defame yourself like that on purpose?
Yeah, agreed.
You
like
have to really look at things real hard, people out there. I'm telling you the truth, man. You know, I've been watching this go on for over 3 decades that I've paid attention. Trust me, it's nothing new under the sun. The term SSDD, same shite, different decade, folks.
And here we are.
People were warring about the New World Order back in the 90s when Bush Sr. became president. That was the talk of the town, ladies and gentlemen, across the country.
And they've done their
Robertson's book came out. That really changed a lot of people in America.
Yeah, and they've done their best to stamp out that fire, that New World Order thing, right? And again, now we see tonight, as I played a lot of this stuff, you see they're using our own tax money against us to manipulate news cycles to brainwash us. It's proof. They admit it. They freaking admit it. And people are like, that's just a conspiracy, bro. Like, what? What? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've literally been given play-by-play. Like, I would tell people, hey, by the middle of next week, they're going to change and use this tactic, and that's going to be the new talking point. And then it would happen, and then it would go, oh, my God, you either work for them or you got a crystal ball. And I'm like, no, man, there's a pattern to this.
You just pay attention.
There's a pattern to this.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there in chat rooms explaining the pattern to people, and every now and then people will wake up. I usually get a friend request from the people that wake up, and everybody else. I spend a lot of time in the hole and in the gulags of the social media areas, because you get on these people's radar, and it don't take long. They want to knock you off.
I call it the digital gulag.
It
gulag.
hits home, and it really drives their operators nuts, because it's staring them in the face that there's people smart enough to see right through this. And it's not so much as intelligence really has nothing to do with it. You don't have to have a high IQ. I'm not a high IQ guy by any means. And but I notice pattern of things, and I'm good with numbers, you know. And I've always been good at numbers and calculating things and figuring things out on my own. And one day I said, you know what, something suspicious about this. And working in a lab and stuff like that, I said, I'm going to apply some scientific method here and see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And the rest, as they say, is history. I've been going on and on about it ever since, man.
Hey,
and
Tim?
they've had me so pegged out. If I create a page and do anything, boom, I'm knocked down. It doesn't take a couple of days, and I can't do anything with it. You know?
Yeah. I made a page called a Facebook page called Election Year.
No.
Yes, I did. And I never got to do anything with it. But it was an experiment. I was like, all right, let's see what happens. Right? If I can just stoke the fire and be just like that propagandist asshole, and get like a ton of engagement, and then get banned really fast. I never did it because I just don't have the heart, man. I just can't lie to people. I just don't have it. It's not in me. Tim, can you do me a big favor? At some point, can you come on the show and just be on the show for the whole show? You're a smart dude. Lots of good things to say.
I sure can, man. I'd be happy to do that. Hey, Mike, I did that with a page called Cult 45. You can ask people on my Facebook friends list.
Okay.
I know there's a couple in the chat room, and they'll tell you. I had the Cult 45 Facebook page to cheer Trump on for the election, okay? And I did this for two reasons. I did this for two main reasons. And I told people before I did it why I was going to do it. I said, look, I'm doing this. Number one is to see people's reactions to the changing events as they happen in response to things that go on back and forth. And then every now and then we're gonna make statements for or against things and see the reaction of people, because we're going to be dealing with people that are pro-Trump on here mostly, but then you're going to get the trolls. And then you're going to get genuine people that are real people that do this like him, but still have rational thought. So there's still a little hope there. And I was hoping to see that. And what I found was I did find a little bit of hope. I did realize there still are people that do have some tendencies for the left, but they're still good, rational people that'll sit down and talk with you. So people don't give up on it yet, you know. And that's probably the biggest thing I can tell you is ain't nothing in this world worth dying over. And these folks have been at this for hundreds of years. And if you'll open a history book and find out, usually when they get to about this part right here, things start to unravel and explode in their face.
Yeah, agreed. Hey, I'm going to make a confession to you. I've never confessed this in my whole life to anybody. I'm going to make a confession to you. I'm a registered Democrat.
Right? Hey, man, I vote split ticket here sometimes.
I'm just saying,
and I got a purple thing in the mail saying I'm in a purple area. And I said, what is a purple area? And it's because, I've always voted for the people I know locally. Okay, nationally, I vote party. But locally, I've always voted because some people locally here believe in our Constitution, and they're registered Democrats. And then there's some Republicans that fight for our Constitution here.
Yeah.
They're registered Republicans, and they fight for it.
Yeah,
and they'll sit down at the table at the commissioner's office and agree to disagree, but then do what's right for everybody. So, that's how you're supposed to vote. You're not supposed to worry about the party and the fights they're having. Everybody's goal is supposed to be what's doing right for the neighbor.
Yeah,
and to help each other out.
Yeah,
and to build civilization and make it better for everybody.
Amen. And again, like that's the whole gaslighting bit. You can't if you literally take the party line on everything, you're the brainwashed idiot. That's it. There's such a thing as a blue dog Democrat, and that's what I like to see myself as. Right? Like you have a I'm socially liberal. I think you should be able to be who you want to be, and that's it. Like period. That's it. I don't care. Like go be you and do you.
If Kennedy was alive today,
yeah,
he would win in a landslide because he would get everybody's vote that feels like that. Yeah, and I think that's the majority.
Yeah, the liberal,
and I think that crosses all lines, whether they're racial barriers or whatever. Because at the end of the day, most people want to be safe and keep their families safe, and don't want to have to hurt anybody unless somebody's trying to hurt them first.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother.
It's the majority of people you run across, man.
Amen, brother. What's a good night for you? We do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Let's get you on the show in the next couple weeks. Is that okay?
Hey, just message me, man. Whichever night, I'll make time for it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Is there one that's better or worse? Ash does Wednesdays. How about Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday's fine.
Perfect. Let's go. Let's tentatively schedule 2 weeks from tonight, just to give you time to whatever, decompress, meditate, whatever it is you need to do. 2 weeks from tonight, Thursday, Tinfoil Timothy's going to be on the show. Can we do that?
Yeah, man. 10-4.
I appreciate it, man. We start at 7 p.m. Pacific. I think that's going to be 10 p.m. your time. Too late, or is that good?
Yep, that's not a problem, man. Not a problem.
Perfect. Timothy, my friend, longtime listener, calls in once in a while. I watch your videos on YouTube when you put them up. Smart dude. I appreciate your input. Thank you for calling. I look forward to talking with you soon, okay?
All right, man. Thank you very much. You have a good night, Mike.
Thanks a lot, man. You too. There you go, guys. Tinfoil Timothy University on YouTube. That's his channel. I'm not sure he's active on there anymore, but that's who this guy is. Again, he's been listening to this show for a very long time. He's active in the Facebook chat, and he's always sharing knowledge. And the thing is, right, it doesn't matter. We reserve the right to be wrong, don't we? I think we deserve that. But now we live in this hyper-polarized bullshit world where everything is digitally enhanced, and people go back to when you were a teenager and you said something stupid in your social media, and they come get you. Yeah. This is all real. This is not the phony-ass world. This is not a conspiracy. I'm sorry. This shit is real. And here we are. Thanks for the calls tonight, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. There are so many things you could be doing, and I understand and appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Going to play some outro music. You got it. 2 weeks from tonight, Tinfoil Timothy going to be on the show. Ash will be back next Wednesday. We're done for the week. I've been at it since Sunday doing news shows. If you guys want more of this content, I promise you there's probably some stuff on YouTube you haven't seen yet. Please go back and watch and just listen. Like I said, I'm on record. I don't delete shit. Go back and listen. See if things have changed much. I think my delivery's gotten better. I think probably, I hope, the show's gotten better. But I haven't been gaslighted by this crappy media. I haven't changed my mind. Despite their best efforts, using my own tax money against me, which pisses me off to no end. Here we are. Still asking questions to try and find the truth. Let's see. Which button? Let's press this button. And that's it. It's as simple as that, right? I mean, it seems simple, but it's not, because you got 20,000 troops on deck in the UK waiting for a bad news cycle so they could spam the bullshit so they could run out with their hashtags and make you believe Theresa May is okay. That needs to be a t-shirt. Theresa May is okay. Dear Lord, you guys are amazing. Thanks again for all the interaction. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling and being part of this. I can't thank you enough. Yes, the hashtags. The hashtag warriors. Here they come. The shills on Reddit. Ah, we're under attack. All right. We're done for the week. Here's the thing, right? I'm going to try and do some extra bonus content. Put up a Patreon. You guys like more of this? I'll do another Friday and Saturday or something. And just make it like subscriber only, just so we can start lifting off of these platforms, try and get them elsewhere. Just like Chantel called in today in the news show and said, hey, you should probably monetize over on your own website because they're coming after you. And I couldn't agree more. So we'll do some things. Let's see what's up. You guys let me know if you're interested. You want more of this content, more of this socially liberal, fiscally conservative, label-less, non-denominational, A quest for the truth. I don't know. I hate labels so much. You guys have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you soon. Be sure, be strong, be true. You're listening to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. What's up, Axel? See you, buddy. What's the term? There's an outro I'm searching for. What's the outro? It goes something like this. I see you guys on Facebook in the chat. You guys are funny. Yes, I don't like isms either. I don't like labels. Whatever. You be you. We'll be me. I'll be me. And we'll just do our thing. Don't be gaslighted by a bunch of BS. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. And stay classy, San Diego.